Full lights. Start sound. Camera.
I want to thank BabuKishan Spotlight, great program for the next generation. And I think it's something that all of us should watch and to take pride in the accomplishments of our community. So thank you to BabuKishan for giving me this opportunity to tell my story. Thank you.
Whatever you're into, this genre has some killer, you know that. The boy was bad. 80s and 90s, all you heard was bands. When their songs played, it really made you dance. Jazzy B had his alongside Shinderman. RDB, Monarchy, and you know the rest. Can't forget B21.
Hi, my name is Raj Paul Dhillon, also known as R. Paul Dhillon for my professional work. I was born in Amritsar, Punjab, where the Golden Temple is. I grew up there till the age of 10 before coming to Canada. And my time in growing up in Amritsar is a blessed time. It's a beautiful time, a time of flying kites on top of your houses, playing in the smaller streets, they call gulliyan, right? And having to endure when the floods came, during the rain season, the water would come up and my dad would have to put me on the bicycle and take me to school because it was too deep, the water. So those kind of things, and obviously being near the Golden Temple, being able to visit that on a weekly, even sometimes a couple of times a week visit, it was great. The surroundings, the city was perfect at that time. So growing up there was like basically the kind of childhood you see in films. It was a really great time to be in that city. It was beautiful. It wasn't as crowded at that time. It's still an innocent time. We're talking about the early to mid 70s, and it was, for a child, I remember those days as when you look back in your life, you say, what does life mean? And those times of growing up as a child, those were times when I really can say, hey, I really enjoyed life. Not that I enjoyed after that. Canada's been like a paradise after that, right? So after growing up in Amritsar, going to school there, it was kind of like a religious kind of school. So you began your school with the Shabad or a prayer. So it was a unique kind of an experience growing up, in that environment, because Amritsar is a holy city. So it's understandable that you would be kind of passionate about religion and so forth. But before coming to Canada, we moved for 2 years to our village, which is Graham. Graham is near Flore, or you can say, between Jalandhar and Flore. And that was also a great time because the village life was completely different from the city life. Like Amritsar, it's a modern city, and whereas Goraya at that time was a complete village with cows and buffaloes and things like that. And the unique aspect of that was, kind of doing the, swimming in the rivers while going to school or coming back from school, and picking, vegetables or fruits out on the way while walking through the fields, that kind of thing. And my sister, she's the one who came to Canada before me. We are like 2 sisters and 2 brothers. And my father is Harbans Singh Dhillon, and my mother was Swan Kaur Dhillon, Mohinder Kaur Dhillon from her parents' side. So we grew up in a unique kind of time. So before coming to Canada, my sister thought that because I was the youngest and going to school, that it would be good for me to learn English. So she put me into a private school in Graham. and that's where I learned English and alphabets. So when I came here, it was a little bit more easier to kind of get into the English part of it. And that those 2 years being in private school was unique. You wearing the uniform and being a certain way. The kids were proper. Not like a public school, which is quite different. So all those experiences were unique. I think the most really for the village life, the most unique thing was we would walk, and it's hot during the most of the time, especially during the summers. We would on the way get some like sugar cane sticks, and peel them off and suck the juice out of them while we are like taking bath in a big they call it tubal, like a water propeller that puts water to the fields. So those were very, very unique memories of eating fruits and in the shades of the trees where it's very hot outside. Those are the kind of memories I still have as a child from Punjab, and Guraya was a unique experience growing up as a child there. I just really loved roundabout, like always out and about kind of thing, and coming to Canada was a little. I was excited as a child because I got to take 2 months off before. I was not going to school for 2 months before, or even when I remember that I was still going to school, and then my parents would say, don't tell anybody that you're going to Canada because then somebody can screw it up and that kind of stuff. So I remember that sometimes I would just take money from my mom in her secret stash. I would just take the money and not go to school and go to the local stores and eat gachuk and eat moongfali, like peanuts and things like that, and just hang out with my friends and come back at the end of the day, not even go to the school. So it was like a unique little experience of there. But when we made the trek, getting on the plane for the first time as a child, it was very unique. Going to Delhi, I don't think I've ever had been to Delhi as a child, from Chandigarh to Delhi. And all that travel was like, kind of whirlwind. You come here and then you land in Vancouver. Vancouver at that time in 1978 was like a unique city, very different than it is now. Very, it was still very dominant, in terms of Caucasians, like there was a lot of Indians here, but not as much that time. And it was a unique feeling, like, coming to clean streets, clean, getting snow, we landed in December, and so it was already winter time or cold time, and so the snow would come, and I was like it was like an experience of a lifetime, kind of, like really romantic the way you figured, and one of the things about me as a child was, I loved candy but pop we would only in India get when guests came over. So people wouldn't buy pop like regularly, and you would only get it when. So here you could just go to the store and buy pop and candy and chips and stuff like that. So it was like it was so like it was going from what I thought was real sort of beautiful childhood in India, in Amritsar and Guraya, to even a better childhood growing up here in South Vancouver. That's where I grew up. I went to my first school I went to was Sexsmith, which is still there for elementary. I came from there in grade 7, but they put me back one grade to 6 here, and but I caught up from ESL, and then went to high school at Churchill Secondary. That was a great experience, and one of the things when I was here is that I loved doing, and I still try to do sometimes, is playing hockey, ball hockey. It was a fantastic time growing up in South Vancouver with other kids. There would be teens, and we would play right after school. We would go and play street hockey and that kind of thing. And it was really, really, I would say, a cherished kind of growing up for me. I've really say that my childhood was blessed. High school, I was, I loved going to high school. It was a unique experience. But getting back to kind of like what I wanted to do in life, my obsession with films and anything to do with film making and that kind of began, when I was in India. We would go and that time they had these movies on TV, and sometimes we'd go to the theater, but not much. But movies on TV we would watch, and I was so fascinated by the images and the way the stories were told, and these bigger than life people in them that you've seen. So at that time I said, if anything, God, if anything I want to do is I want to do films. I want to do, even if I have to sweep the set initially, but I want to, and it naturally came to me that I wanted to tell stories. So I used to write a lot of stories. In high school, I took graphics. Graphics, the only one that had film. Like they had Super 8mm camera back then, so we made like these silent black and white films or color films, and we would show them to classes. So my love for film began from there. After high school, I went to Langara College for 1 year, because that time I didn't want to go to SFU right away, because SFU had the film program, and so I thought, like, for 1 year, because we lived very close to Langara in South Van, that I would go 1 year to Langara and do my first year university courses there, and then I would transfer to SFU. So next year, following year, I basically went up to SFU, and you have to do oral and interview exam to get into the film program there. So basically, I wrote a big essay on, I remember Spike Lee's film, Do the Right Thing. I wrote a big essay about how, how the film basically really changed me, like really moved me. It's a very kind of very powerful story about oppression and about being black in America. What you're seeing now, basically, Do the Right Thing already covers that. So basically, I wrote that thing and I gave the interview, and lo and behold, I was accepted into the film program. So that's something that I felt like, that my goal in life half was accomplished, because now I finally got into this program, which is a very prestigious program. They only take, that time, they were only taking not more than 16 to 18 people per year into that program. So that program basically meant that, you can now start doing filmmaking, like they would do directing, cinematography, lighting, they would teach every aspect of it, but also you would do film theory. Film theory is where, you study cinema, like from the 50s, 60s, 30s, 40s, like with different styles, thriller genre, like of Hitchcock, or social media, or, like the French New Wave, the Italian, realist cinema. These kind of things you study up there. And that was a very rich education for me to get into the film program. And then I did finish SFU with film and communications degree. So basically, after I graduated from SFU with a degree in communication and film, I was writing movie reviews right in SFU. Like I used to write movie reviews for the Link newspaper, the South Asian Link newspaper, the oldest English language newspaper in Canada, the biggest in BC and Western Canada. So at that time, Mr. Pramod Puri was the editor, and I submitted something. I remember the first movie review I did was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And my review was that the thief who stole my $10. That time the ticket was $10 or $8, I think. And so basically that was my review. And he really liked it, and he printed it. And then he encouraged me to write more stories for the paper, like different stories, just on news stories, art stories, plays, movies, reviews, or whatnot, right? And then from there, basically, when I graduated, he offered me a job as an associate, as a reporter first, and then like a year after, then I became an associate editor of the paper, the Link newspaper, and that's how basically my journalism began. There was no intention for me to go into journalism, but I had done a degree in communications, so I could have done any kind of communications work, like work for the government, work for companies, PR, for writing press releases, that kind of thing. So basically, I could have done any of that, but luckily, this was a great gig because it allowed me to continue writing. Writing is very important for filmmakers. If you want to tell your stories, you've got to kind of first conceive them and come up with them and make them better, and then you can tell them, right? So basically, my day job became, at the Link newspaper. I've been working there for long time. I'm still the editor after all those years. Started there in 1994, I believe. I got the job in 93, I think. And then I've been off and on. I've done magazine editing. I've written articles for the mainstream newspapers like the Vancouver Sun, Province, other papers, Georgia Straight, I did the movie reviews for. So basically, journalism was very fulfilling. I mean, it was a good job. It was something that I really dreamed of doing. A desk job, a chair job, but also a job of the mind. There's life of the mind means that you use the mind for your getting your salary or your living. So basically using the mind to write, to create and things like that. And while I was doing that, I obviously didn't let go my film obsession, right? So I used to do music videos. I did the plays. I wrote a play for Oasis called The South Van Stud. It was like showcased in a cultural thing. And then I wrote small short films I did for. And I even produced, a TV show with Kavinder Sanghera, who used to run Ravi Video back then. So we used to do skits. I produced skits. I did music videos with their company. We produced a little bit of this for this TV show, and some other show before that actually. And so it was something that I was doing, but. Eventually, then a new station came called CTV, but it was called VTV back then, called Vancouver Television. And they asked for proposals for like a cultural variety show, which I submitted, and mine got accepted, and so is some other person's got accepted, and so we both did. I did mine that time from fresh. I produced like comedy skits in there, a Jazzy B music video called Manke, other kind of things, all kinds of different dances like Kathak, all kind of classic Bhangra. So it was like a unique cultural little 1 hour variety culture show featuring all kinds of entertainment and dances and so forth. And that's sort of what led me to more professional paid kind of film work. I did that, and then after that I basically did a documentary called The Bhangra Generation, and that was for Omni Television. And they asked for, because I had done a lot of stuff in that, and I produced in between other music videos and things like that. I've been doing that for ongoing thing, and then I decided to make a feature film, after the success of the Bhangra Generation, like on TV, it's been one of the most popular documentaries shown by Omni, and it plays still on their channel. And so I decided to come up with a small budget film. That's something that we could do within a smaller budget, And I came up with my friend Jesse Thin had written a script called. It was called Different, but we turned it into Sweet America. It was basically a story about a Sikh grocery store owner during 9/11, during the time of 9/11. So it takes place just before 9/11 happened, and then weeks after it happened, and how it changes. And he gets kidnapped by these poor patriots, like these Americans who think that he's a terrorist sympathizer. And it starred Gulshan Grover, the iconic villain from Bollywood. He did a fantastic job, Gulshan. He was here in BC. We shot for 15 days. It was a very quick shoot. And it took largely place in one grocery store, and that feature film was released in 2008 in movie theaters here and the U.S., and now it's being marketed for satellite rights and other things, and it will come out in VOD and DVD and other things. So that basically movie, taught a lot of things. I'm very thankful to my friend Bobby Nagra, who basically helped finance this. I financed some, and he financed 60% he did, 40% I did. So it was a unique thing, we did relatively well with it, but it's art films, so art films do not travel, they're not commercial films. But also that time we did not have, now theaters can show from basically a video, digital prints they can screen. That time you had to have a 16 millimeter, and we shot it on Super 16 and then blew it up on 35, and it was not the kind of look and all that. We did market it, and we did run for over 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks, like 3 weeks almost, and it was good return, and we did well. And after that I have been busy doing documentaries for Omni and other channels, and now we are planning basically to come back to another feature. So basically, after these documentaries that I've been doing, they were just aired now. The documentary series is called Reflections: South Asian Stories, and featured various big wigs from our community, like Arjun Buller, the Olympian, Mo Sohora, the first South Asian MLA, elected and minister, and others, Cal Dosan, Super Cop, other people like that. So that great response has come from the audience watching that series. I've also done one which is close to my heart called For the Love of My Mother Tongue. It's on Punjabi language, and how that where everybody's trying to keep it alive while being in the West, and what everybody has to do to keep their language alive, right? And after that, now basically, I had a feature film that I had written called The Fusion Generation, and I've been playing with it and developing it, and then we're planning to basically shoot that film this summer here in Vancouver, and hopefully we will be announcing the star cast soon. But it's a fun film, party film, a film about youngsters in Canada, nothing about these people coming from India and telling how they live here. This is how Vancouver, this is how the generation here lives. This is about your generation. The Fusion Generation is about your generation, and when it comes out in 2017, hopefully everybody will go watch it. It's going to be a fun film about our history here, about the lumber mogul community, the pioneers here, and the newcomers who came. And it's a love story. It's a fun story. It's a party. It's everything, heartbreak. It's a kind of a romantic comedy. So hopefully, it will have a great release and a great reception from people. And I'm hoping that people will like it, and we will keep telling as it develops. What I want to tell people who are out there looking for inspiration, looking to make a name for themselves in art, in business, in films, in acting, in whatever field you choose. I think life is short, even though we think it's very long, but you have to want it now. You have to really kind of wanting to do what you want to do now. And the thing about being success is the success only comes from being persistent. That you cannot let go of your passion. If you continue to stick with it, sure, there's heartbreaks. Sure, your proposal is rejected. Sure, your project doesn't go through. Sure, your planning doesn't go through. But if you keep at it, if you keep learning what mistakes you made, if you keep looking at what other people are doing and being successful, and what they're doing different than you, that is the way to basically accomplish your goals, your dreams, your whatever. For me, as a child, growing up in Punjab, growing up in Amritsar, and growing and having a great life there, and then coming to Canada, and just for me, Canada is the paradise. For me, Canada is the heaven. I mean, for me, I've come from a place which was where I was born, but Canada for me is the ultimate. Like, I think that people say, after you die, you go to heaven. No, if you're in Canada, you are in heaven. You are in heaven, and I think this is the way. The dream is here. The dream is live. You're already in heaven. Whatever else you can do, that should be the inspiration. That should be the thing that gets you going. That tells you that, hey, I can do this. I can get it done. And that is the thing. For me, it's been persistency. I've never let go of my art. I've been writing stories for many years. Keep writing, still writing, and making them better, and eventually I will realize where I want to go. I am still not where I want to go. I'm still going, because dreams, they continue to add. Once you've accomplished a certain thing, you have another next thing you can accomplish. So it is basically a work of progress. Just like life is a work of progress, dreams and everything is a work of progress, and you got to keep pursuing them. Keep pursuing them to your last breath. Keep living the life.
Full lights. Start sound. Camera. Action.
BabuKishan's spot.